Okay, we're live. Okay, three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 166. It's our Thanksgiving, I guess, hangover. We're a little late this week, but we should be ready for the holidays. I guess it is. I mean, I don't know, but we don't have that much to talk about. I guess all the security researchers and all the hackers were just bored over Thanksgiving. So we have a couple items in the news. It's going to be simple. It's not going to be that hard. But let's first start off with Tom's favorite thing: authenticating on Macs.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, generally, it's expected that when you authenticate on a Macintosh, you as a user are trusted to be really the one in charge. It gives you a lot of control, gives you a lot of power. The Mac doesn't want to stand in your way when it comes to you getting work done, and that's why the newest feature of OS X High Sierra is if you type in root without a password, it completely allows you to log in and do whatever you need to on the system, whether that's installing keyloggers or malware or siphoning off user data or protected files. The Mac trusts that you have the authorization because you said, give me authorization. And that's really the way it should be.
So let's take a step back. First, you have a Mac. Your company gives you a Mac, or your
Yes.
old Okay, and are you running macOS on it?
I am running OS X. It is a...
It's called macOS.
Oh, it is. Oh, right, because it's not OS X anymore. It is Mac OS. Forgot about that.
Yes, and you're running High Sierra?
Yes, I am.
Now, this is different than your last company where you were running a Mac and not
Yes.
Mac OS.
My last company, I had a MacBook Pro, and I was running Debian.
Okay. So, but we have to agree that it's still some sort of Unix flavor.
Yes. Oh, yes, okay. By far. It's some sort of POSIX compliant system.
Okay. So I also am running a Mac. And the problem is that a bunch of people, a security team found out that root had no password. Somebody forgot. I don't know if it was forgot, but did something to allow you just to hit enter and get access to root.
Yeah, it's an issue. It's a big issue.
Well, let's first start off. It's if you don't know what root means, I think we got to describe what root means. Because
yeah, that's a good point.
Just do it. I'll let you do it because you probably know this way better than I do.
So root is the lowest level system administrator account on a Nix device, whether it's Linux or Unix or OS X or AIX, or there's a bunch of different flavors of these things. But root is like the ultimate in administrator permissions. If you need to do anything and you've got root, the box is yours. You can make it dance. You can make it do whatever you want, and nothing is going to tell you to stop.
But can it make me a sandwich?
You can. You hook up a couple servos, maybe control it with an Arduino, and as root, you could directly access the devices connected to that machine to make you a sandwich.
So sudo make me a sandwich may actually work.
It could, yes.
Okay. So it's one of those things that obviously it gives you full access to the computer, but many of these systems, at least the ones that are done right, disable root. Like you should not have access to root, especially on OS X.
Yeah, so back in the day, in Windows land, this account is also known as system, or you could make the argument that it's analogous to the administrator account. Back in the day, used to be administrator by default on everything. The first user you log into in Windows XP is the administrator user, unless you make a less privileged account and log into that instead. And this was an issue because most people don't make other user accounts. Most people don't care. They log in first, and that's the only thing they need. The issue with this is that, let's say you double-click on a really nasty piece of malware, or you run something you're not supposed to. That program is now executing. It's now running under the highest account present on the system. It has the ability to do anything it wants to because you are the master controller of the computer. That's why we recommended back in the day, hey, run as a less privileged account. Run as like a local user account and not administrator, because it will totally limit the damage malware can do to your system. And Apple has done the right thing, and by default on OS 10, you do have sudo permissions, but only with a password. You can't actually make huge sweeping system changes without your user password. And if something's asking for it, you got to be careful. But by default, it limits the amount of damage you can do.
So, I mean, this will take a tangent, but I don't know if we specifically talked about this. It's annoying to do, but when you set up a new Windows machine, or even if you want to just be a little more secure, if you're running as an admin or administrator on your Windows machine, it may be a good idea to set up yourself like a separate user and really limit the permissions. So if you actually want to install a piece of software, you actually want to do something, it forces you to get out of that and go into the administrator setting. That's really annoying, and I can understand why a lot of people don't do it. But if spyware or malware want to infect your system, they will need that permission, and at that point it would not let you, and you'll realize that something's going on. Unfortunately, it's very, very tedious.
Yeah. So even if you don't set up a secondary user, which I do recommend you do, because it's a good idea. UAC, the user access control, the thing you have to click yes on all day, every day, because it keeps pestering you about stuff, has done a good job at limiting the amount of damage you can do in one fell swoop as the administrator account. You can set that up as a low-level user to say, hey, prompt me for a username and password, and you have to put in, administrator or whatever your admin account name is and a password to get past that screen. And that's a really secure thing to do, especially if you're not, installing programs or, doing things that would require administrator access to the system a whole lot. If you're just a user, by all means, run to a local, a lower privileged account, because it'll keep you safer.
I mean, with that said, I don't follow that advice, but I also I'm also being careful on everything that I do. So I'm taking that risk. Again, it is highly inconvenient. It is really, really annoying. The good thing is, at least on Windows 10 and on the Mac side, they do prompt you a lot of times to say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" They do protect you. I've seen more instances, or I've seen less instances of malware infecting because of installing software. I see it more of clicking wrong. I think so, right?
Yeah, generally. Yeah. So this bug, Apple introduced this in High Sierra. It's nasty. It allows you to log in as like the super powered account whenever you want. No password, no nothing. And even worse, it actually enables the root account with a blank password. So if you execute it once, it's there. You can actually, with this, when you I did it through, I think, like users and groups or the user control panel in the Mac. You can create a user, and it sort of half creates them so they don't show up in a list. But if you gave them admin permissions, they can totally use those. So I have created a user on my system that I've tried to kill off and just can't. That account totally exists. It doesn't have admin permissions anymore. I got rid of those, but you can do some really crazy harm to your Mac with this exploit. Luckily, Apple pushed out a fix. Unluckily, the fix also broke a bunch of other stuff. So they pushed out another fix to fix the original fix that fixed the bug. Yeah.
Well, the good news is, yeah. So I tried it. I restarted my computer. I was having some problems. I restarted. I typed in root. I hit enter. Nothing. It's one of these weird bugs that it doesn't work the first time. You have to hit it twice, maybe 3 times, and you have to be in the right setup and the right configuration, but it does happen, and that's the problem. Then yes, they issued an update that broke a whole bunch of other stuff, and they had to issue another update. The good thing about these updates is that they just happened. They were apparently automatic. So you didn't have to postpone this. I don't think you had to restart your computer. It waited until some time, it installed it, and then it was supposed to tell you. Now, we tried it a few minutes ago, and I could not log into root, but maybe I wasn't standing on one leg and trying a few different times. The other nastiness part of this is if you had remote desktop installed as one of the settings, you could log into root remotely. So initially everyone said, hey, physical access, this and that, which is bad. But then we find out that if you had VNC installed through your Mac, remote issues now become a problem, and that's even worse.
Yeah, luckily SSH was not on this list because by default, the Mac won't let you log into root with a password. It does require an SSH key, which isn't going to be enabled by default. But if you like you were saying, had something like remote desktop or an FTP server or anything that takes remote commands in, yeah, that would totally not only log into your system with root access, it would enable the root account so anyone else could do it as well. And the root cause of this mistake was something pretty boneheaded. There was a function that checks authorization, and instead of saying, yes, these hashes match for this password, or no, these hashes don't match, the only thing it checked is whether or not the comparison was made, not that it actually checked the result. Apple has since said that they are auditing their software development processes. They are going to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, because this is becoming a trend. This is not the first time some dumb coding mistake has resulted in a major security flaw on one of Apple's devices. Go to fail is a wonderful example on the iPhone, or terrible, depending on how you look at it, of Apple really botching security on their devices because they just weren't paying attention. I am hopeful for the future, but I don't think we can look at Apple as the bastion of security anymore. And it really hasn't been for some time. People like to claim that the iPhone and the Mac are the safest platforms out there. And the fact is, it's made by humans. These bugs are going to exist. But the fact that there isn't proper quality control around these means that stuff like this is going to continue getting shipped through.
The problem is then you have Intel's management console, which just, makes Apple look really, really good in that light. So let me ask you this. This is kind of a dumb question. Would you rather have a blank root password or a really dumb root password? Like if the root password is
a really
Apple.
dumb root password. I mean, honestly, both are probably the same levels of bad or really close to it. You could make the argument that if you had a blank password, it's not going to show up on a password word list because who's going to try blank? That said, it's a hard choice. The workaround to this, before Apple's full fix that came out not too long ago, I want to say a day or two ago, is to actually enable the administrator account, set a password on the root account, then go in and disable the account. And that way, if the bug triggers it, if it turns on the root account, because it is disabled by default, as should be, then at least there will be a password on it instead of it being blank. And frankly, you don't care what the password is, right? It can be 100 characters, completely random, and you can throw it away because you will never need that again. If you have an admin level user that you can use your user password on it and make changes to the system, you don't need the root account. Yeah, I think that's about the skinny on that, I believe.
I mean, we're still hearing the fallout of this, and the problem is that Apple's trying to tout Face ID as more secure than Touch ID and all this other stuff, and it's getting people to start worrying. People were very good on Touch ID is awesome, it works, the secure enclave, as long as law enforcement doesn't chop off your finger or compel you, you're good. All this, and then they throw it all out the window, and now they're going Face ID, and when you have things like this, you start to question, like you said, the quality control and the security auditing and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So with that said, the next topic. So moving completely in the opposite direction, let me ask Tom, how much Bitcoin does he have?
Let me check actually, because I just got a little bit more today. I think I'm just sitting at just under one coin. Yeah, I'm just under one coin.
You're at this point, you're really rich. So if you don't know what we're talking about, which a lot of people don't, now they're starting to hear things about Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin this virtual currency, we're not going to get into exactly what it is, has this had this huge increase in price value. And I would say when Trump got elected, so November 8th, 2016, it was about $1,000. It's today, I think, 12,000 something. So in about a year, it went up 1,000%.
Yeah, it's actually just today it hit 14,000 and then dropped back down.
So, and the problem is people are setting triggers if it goes down more than 1,000 to sell and everything else. But it's turning out now. I hear all these people out of the woodwork. Bitcoin. I'm hearing all these other things. I saw at a football game, at the Rutgers football game, some sort of ad for some sort of cryptocurrency, and I went. It doesn't even exist yet, and they want to buy in. I guess this idea of ICO.
Yep.
Buy in at the cryptocurrency before we launch it, hoping to be the next big thing.
Yes, and they are extremely shady. A lot of these coins are what we call pre-mined. So, like people will keep a coin private and they will mine a whole bunch of it before they release out into the public and say, look, we're going to be the next big Bitcoin. We're going to be worth $1 billion one day. Buy now. And the fact that people are buying into it drives the price up. And the founders have got all of this coin just laying around. It's really shady. It looks like a Ponzi scheme. And most of them probably are. So I would stay away from that. Look at, if you really want to get into trading various cryptocurrencies and altcoins and stuff like that, understand that these things are not investments, right? This is as much of an investment as a blackjack table is, and not just a table, like actually playing blackjack. You're not actually getting anything, especially the value of a table for this, right? Right now, my Bitcoin is theoretically worth 14K. It might not be in the future. It could be worth nothing in a matter of minutes or seconds from now. It could be worth $1 million a year in the future. Nobody knows where this is headed. So only throw money into cryptocurrency that you're absolutely fine with burning at the stake. I don't want to lead you down a stray financial path. This could be worth a lot of money. It could be worth no money. The thing you have to look at is, do I care if this vanishes tomorrow? And right now, I'm okay riding the roller coaster. If it goes away tomorrow, that's annoying. I'm really disappointed, but it was magic fake internet money to begin with anyway, so yeah.
If you want a good primer on what Bitcoin is, message us in the group, in the WhatsApp group. There's our first plug for it. Tweet at us, anything like that. We don't want to give you recommendations here. I don't want to give you recommendations here on the show. I think your advice is exactly right. If you're going to buy into whatever it is, be ready for it to completely go to zero and you have nothing. So if you want to put $50 into it with the assumption that you're going to lose it all, hey, do that. But I remember on this show years ago, I told Tom Bitcoin's at 1,000. And everyone was shocked. How could Bitcoin be 1,000? And now it's at, like you said, 14,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking like literally in the span of little over a year. So it went from 1,000 to 1,600, back down to 500 to 1,000. It was hovering over for 1,000 for a long time. It dropped a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it just shot right up.
And it hurts me because back in the day, I did a little bit of Bitcoin mining. I did some early investing. I got in at $1 a coin, and I decided I'll burn $10, and I had 10 whole Bitcoins. And then the price skyrocketed. It went to the moon. It hit $10 per coin, and I sold it all. And I got pizza and video games, and that's what I spent my Bitcoins on. And today, that could be a nice 6K lump sum for me to cash out.
And I mean, and we don't know what's going to happen. I can't believe that it was at 12K this morning.
Yeah. It's like I remember looking at these tickers. I remember looking at the markets and the trades early on and going, holy crap, it made a 50-cent fluctuation in one day. That's insane. And now, it's jumping up and down $1,000 every single day. And everyone's just like, yeah, I guess that's okay returns. Like, this is It's crazy. It's nuts. And don't look at it as a get rich quick scheme, please. I beg of you, because you're going to throw a bunch of money into this. It's going to all burn to the ground. You're going to lose everything and blame me. Remember, only invest what you are absolutely willing to just throw in a money or a fire pit, because it's a gamble. It's absolutely a gamble.
And with that said, there's a story that I don't have a source yet on that the FBI is subpoenaing Coinbase for all their records and hoping to extract tax dollars out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think they're defining Bitcoin not as a cryptocurrency, but as I'm going to get this wrong. I don't want to say commodity, but
I think it is a commodity. The last I heard, and my information could be out of date. The last I heard, the IRS was looking at Bitcoin as a commodities market.
So now be ready to be paying tax on whatever you sell. Remember that. So again, the IRS doesn't care what you do as long as you pay taxes. So make sure you're paying your taxes on the Bitcoin if you sell it. That's the other problem. If somebody like the Winklevoss twins apparently have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, they're the people who sued Mark Zuckerberg over Facebook. If they just sold all their Bitcoin, that's going to tank the market. I don't know how you sell that much Bitcoin as well. That's another thing.
Well, it's so right now there's a bunch of hype. It's in news stories. And somebody asked me this exact same question today. They said, Tom, let's say I have $1 million worth of Bitcoin. How on earth do I just liquidate all that? I said, well, it's easy, right? The price is at 14,000 right now. You say, hey, everyone, do you want in? I'm selling my coins for 10,000 a piece, and you offer them a deep discount. So, automated trading bots and people getting it on the ground floor can buy at 10,000 and sell for 14,000 and try to make money on that margin. You could absolutely liquidate that much coin.
I mean, it's just I don't believe it. With that said, it takes like you were talking about other cryptocurrencies. There's a whole now sub market, and I don't know what it's called. Like, I want to say maybe the option market of creating other fake currencies. Like you said that we said it's going to ICO. They're going to get on the ground floor. Like if you didn't hear of, like if you heard of Dogecoin or Litecoin or other altcoins, DEF CON has their own coin just for the conference. Get in at the ground level because it's going to, Monero is another one. All these things, I don't know what to tell you, but just be very careful because it's very easy to create your own cryptocurrency. So if it's easy for you, it's easy for everyone else. And the more marketing you have, the more money people are going to dump into it, and you're most likely going to lose all your money.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's exciting, it's cool, but absolutely be careful with this stuff because it could all vanish tomorrow. And I've got my exit strategy. I know exactly when I'm going to cash out my coins, and not a second before. So we'll see.
So, and then this is a public service announcement from your local crypto and privacy village expert. When you hear crypto, that does not mean cryptocurrency. Crypto means cryptography. That's me. And please don't get it confused, because what you're doing is devaluing what cryptography actually is, which is a secure means of communicating, to cryptocurrency, which is not, I don't even want to say it's secure. It's just this wild west of trading numbers that should be that are cryptographic hashes, but they are not cryptocurrencies. There is a difference. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, I keep hearing people say, "Oh, I'm getting into crypto trading, or I'm trading crypto." I'm like, well, I've got some AES I'd like to sell you in exchange for your Cast 5, which would be a terrible trade because don't use Cast 5, AES all the way.
Oh, I'm so good. I have MD6.
Oh my, MD6. That's one better than MD5.
So
I gotta liquidate all my old and busted MD5, man. Oh, I've also got this SHA-1 I've been trying to offload. Gonna upgrade to some SHA-512. It'd be great.
Yeah, but basically that's what we're hearing, and the flashiest website, the flashiest everything wins. And the problem is that if they can't get even the terminology right, or you're using it as slang, you're going to get caught up, and this is a problem. And remember,
Yeah.
with all this cryptocurrency, there is nothing you can do. You lose everything. Nobody's going to help you. There's no fraud protection. There's nobody to call. You're not going to call the police and say he stole my bitcoins. There's nothing you can do. You have no proof to it. The person who has it
Yeah.
has all the proof. So the
Yeah,
final
that's a really good point to make, is that Bitcoin is cash, right? There's no central bank of Bitcoin. There's no insurance. There's today I was reading a story about I think it was an exchange or a mining pool that got digitally robbed of all of their Bitcoin, and you know what? It's gone. There's no replacing it. It was millions of dollars, like tens of millions of dollars, just vanished because they had a wallet somewhere on a system that got hacked and all their stuff's gone.
But basically, that brings us to one of our other points is, if you're going to do it, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't set it to your spam email. Make sure I would create a separate email for this. I would have two-factor on it. I would do all the right security things, because at the end of the day, you are broadcasting that you have some sort of money. And when people know that they can make money by scamming you, they're absolutely going to do it. And I know a few people who have lost access to their account because they've been hacked because they did something wrong. So
Yeah, just standard advice applies. Be careful with the stuff. Read up on it. Do a bunch of research before you jump in. If you are using an exchange, please note that exchanges are not banks. As we saw with Mt. Gox, if the exchange gets hacked, there is no guarantee you will ever see your money again.
And again, when they say we will insure, they're not insuring anything. They can't insure that we have insurance on our side for getting hacked. They don't. I mean, they may, but don't like we said, expect to lose everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's decent advice.
So now I think we must have said that 15 times. Prepare to lose everything. Anyway, I had 3 minutes. I was going to talk about DNS. I don't know. Do we want to talk about DNS in 3 minutes?
We can hit DNS in 3 minutes.
Okay, so let's go. You got 3 minutes.
DNS is the address book of the internet. When you tell your computer, I want to go to google.com, the first thing that happens, well, maybe not the first thing, but one of the earliest things that happens is your computer will reach out to a DNS server that is pre-configured. Sometimes you get it with DHCP, sometimes you set it yourself. Most of the time, it's your router saying, hey, here's your IP address, here's what DNS address you can use, and your computer blasts off a request that says, hey, I want the IP address of google.com. And your router goes, google.com. You haven't asked for this in a while. It's not in my cache. Let me go ask someone else. And then through a succession of DNS requests, where one system will ask another, hey, do you have the IP address of google.com? Sometimes it'll be cached. Sometimes the time to live will expire, and it will have to go get a brand new answer of what is google.com from another place, all the way up to the authoritative name server, where someone has said, this is the almighty name server that contains the IP addresses of google.com. Eventually, that will work its way back to you, and you will get the answer. It is at this IP address. When you get that back, your computer goes, okay, cool. And it treats that IP address as google.com until it expires. In which case you will ask again, hey, my cache is expired. What is google.com? And that is what DNS does.
And so I got this story from a recent Security Now episode that we may cover next week, but basically DNS sometimes is slow, sometimes it's fast. And what we find out is that usually the ISPs are your best choice, but sometimes they're your worst choice. So there's different tools that will test the speed, and everyone tells you, oh, if you want speed, go to the Google one 8.8.8.8, and they will provide you faster ones. Or if you want to be cool and configure your own, you can do OpenDNS, which I forget, it's like 220.220, that's something. And you can keep on going. But the idea is you want to find a safe one that goes really fast, because that is a cause of bottlenecks. And the faster you make it, the faster you can get your information and everything else. So when you hear about DNS, that's what we're talking about. And we'll get into a deep dive one of these days on different ways to set up your DNS and how to look for it. But I just thought it's another time to hear about DNS and to go from there.
Yeah, always good to have a little bit of a refresher.
So we'll get more on DNS another time, maybe next week. But until then, we're at 30 minutes. We will see you next week. And just be careful with the Bitcoin, please. I beg you, don't do bad things with it.
And if you want to talk more Bitcoin, join our WhatsApp group. Just message us on Twitter, email, scream into the void. We will get you in.
Don't ask to buy Bitcoin. We are not a buying of Bitcoin. Don't tell us you have a good price. That's spam. If you have legitimate Bitcoin questions, and don't sell us your business on the blockchain, because no businesses on the blockchain ever work. So anyway, have a good rest of the week, and we will see you next week.
See you, everyone.
Bye.